The Way of Perfection by Saint Teresa of Ávila. Chapter 28 describes the nature of the prayer of recollection and sets down some of the means by which we can make it a habit. Consider now what your Master says next, who art in the heavens. Do you suppose it matters little what heaven is and where you must seek your most holy Father? I assure you that for minds which wander, it is of great importance, not only to have a right belief about this, but to try to learn it by experience. For it is one of the best ways of concentrating the mind and effecting recollection in the soul. You know that God is everywhere, and this is a great truth. For of course, wherever the king is, or so they say, the court is too. That is to say, wherever God is, there is heaven. No doubt you can believe that. In any place where His Majesty is, there is fullness of glory. Remember how St. Augustine tells us about his seeking God in many places, and eventually finding Him within himself. Do you suppose it is of little importance that a soul which is often distracted should come to understand this truth, and to find that, in order to speak to its eternal Father and to take its delight in Him, it has no need to go to heaven or to speak in a loud voice? However quietly we speak, He is so near that He will hear us. We need no wings to go in search of Him, but have only to find a place where we can be alone and look upon Him present within us. Nor need we feel strange in the presence of so kind a guest. We must talk to Him very humbly, as we should to our Father. Ask Him for things as we should ask a father. Tell Him our troubles, beg Him to put them right, and realize that we are not worthy to be called His children. Avoid being bashful with God, as some people are, in the belief that they are being humble. It would not be humility on your part if the king were to do you a favor and you refused to accept it. But you would be showing humility by taking it and being pleased with it, yet realizing how far you are from deserving it. A fine humility it would be if I had the Emperor of heaven and earth in my house, coming to it to do me a favor and to delight in my company. And I were so humble that I would not answer his questions, nor remain with him, nor accept what he gave me, but left him alone. Or if he were to speak to me and beg me to ask for what I wanted, and I were so humble that I preferred to remain poor and even let him go away, so that he would see I had not sufficient resolution. Have nothing to do with that kind of humility, daughters, but speak with him as with a father, a brother, a lord, and a spouse, and sometimes in one way and sometimes in another. He will teach you what you must do to please him. Do not be foolish. Ask him to let you speak to him, and as he is your spouse, to treat you as his brides. Remember how important it is for you to have understood this truth, that the Lord is with us, and that we should be there with him. If one prays in this way, the prayer may be only vocal, but the mind will be recollected much sooner. And this is a prayer which brings with it many blessings. It is called recollection, because the soul collects together all the faculties and enters within itself to be with its God. Its divine Master comes more speedily to teach it and to grant it the prayer of quiet than in any other way. For hidden there within itself, it can think about the Passion and picture the Son and offer him to the Father without wearying the mind by going to seek him on Mount Calvary or in the garden or at the column. Those who are able to shut themselves up in this way within this little heaven of the soul, wherein dwells the Maker of heaven and earth, and who have formed the habit of looking at nothing and staying in no place which will distract these outward senses, may be sure that they are walking on an excellent road, and will come without fail to drink of the water of the fountain. For they will journey a long way in a short time. They are like one who travels in a ship, and, if he has a little good wind, reaches the end of his voyage in a few days, while those who go by land take much longer. These souls have already, as we may say, put out to sea, though they have not sailed quite out of sight of land. They do what they can to get away from it, in the time of their disposal, by recollecting their senses. If their recollection is genuine, the fact becomes very evident, for it produces certain effects which I do not know how to explain, but which anyone will recognize who has experienced them. It is as if the soul were rising from play, for it sees that worldly things are nothing but toys. So in due course it rises above them, like a person entering a strong castle, in order that it may have nothing more to fear from its enemies. It withdraws the senses from all outward things, and spurns them so completely that, without its understanding how, its eyes close, and it cannot see them, and the soul's spiritual sight becomes clear. Those who walk along this path almost invariably close their eyes when they say their prayers. This, for many reasons, is an admirable custom, since it means they are making an effort not to look at things of the world. The effort has to be made only at the beginning. Later it becomes unnecessary. Eventually, in fact, it would cost a greater effort to open the eyes during prayer than to close them. The soul seems to gather up its strength and to master itself at the expense of the body, which it leaves weakened and alone. In this way, it becomes stronger for the fight against it. This may not be evident at first, if the recollection is not very profound. For at this stage, it is sometimes more so and sometimes less. At first, it may cause a good deal of trouble, for the body insists on its rights, not understanding that if it refuses to admit defeat, it is, as it were, cutting off its own head. But if we cultivate the habit, make the necessary effort, and practice the exercises for several days, the benefits will reveal themselves. And when we begin to pray, we shall realize that the bees are coming to the hive and entering it to make the honey, and all without any effort of ours. For it is the Lord's will that, in return for the time which their efforts have cost them, the soul and the will should be given this power over the senses. They will only have to make a sign to show that they wish to enter into recollection, and the senses will obey and allow themselves to be recollected. Later they may come out again, but it is a great thing that they should ever have surrendered. For if they have come out, it is as captives and slaves, and they do none of the harm that they might have done before. When the will calls them afresh, they respond more quickly, until, after they have entered the soul many times, the Lord is pleased that they should remain there altogether in perfect contemplation. What has been said should be noted with great care, for though it seems obscure, it will be understood by anyone desirous of putting it into practice. The sea voyage then can be made, and as it is very important that we should not travel too slowly, let us just consider how we can get accustomed to these good habits. Souls who do so are more secure for many occasions of sin, and the fire of divine love is the more readily enkindled in them, for they are so near that the fire, however little the blaze, has been fanned with the understanding. Any spark that flies out at them will cause them to burst into flames. When no hindrance comes to it from the outside, the soul remains alone with its God and is thoroughly prepared to become enkindled. And now, let us imagine that we have within us a palace of priceless worth, built entirely of gold and precious stones. A palace, in short, fit for so great a lord. Imagine that it is partly your doing that this palace should be what it is. And this is really true, for there is no building so beautiful as a soul that is pure and full of virtues. And the greater these virtues are, the more brilliantly do the stones shine. Imagine that within the palace dwells this great king, who has vouchsafed to become your father, and who is seated upon a throne of supreme price, namely, your heart. At first, you will think this irrelevant. I mean the use of this figure to explain my point, but it may prove very useful, especially to persons like yourselves. For as we women are not learned or fine-witted, we need all these things to help us realize that we actually have something within us incomparably more precious than anything we see outside. Do not let us suppose that the interior of the soul is empty. God grant that only women may be so thoughtless as to suppose that. If we took care always to remember what a guest we have within us, I think it would be impossible for us to abandon ourselves to vanities and things of the world, for we should see how worthless they are by comparison with those which we have found within us. What does an animal do beyond satisfying his hunger by seizing whatever attracts him when he sees it? There should surely be a great difference between the brute beasts and ourselves, as we have such a father. Perhaps you will laugh at me and say that this is obvious enough, and you will be right, though it was some time before I came to see it. I knew perfectly well that I had a soul, but I did not understand what that soul merited, or who dwelt within it, until I closed my eyes to the vanities of this world in order to see it. I think if I had understood then, as I do now, how this great king really dwells within this little palace of my soul, I should not have left him alone so often, but should have stayed with him and never have allowed his dwelling place to get so dirty. How wonderful it is that he whose greatness could fill 1,000 worlds, and very many more, should confine himself within so small a space, just as he was pleased to dwell within the womb of his most holy mother. Being the Lord, he has, of course, perfect freedom, and as he loves us, he fashions himself to our measure. When a soul sets out upon this path, he does not reveal himself to it, lest it should feel dismayed at seeing that its littleness can contain such greatness. But gradually, he enlarges it to the extent requisite for what he has to set within it. It is for this reason that I say he has perfect freedom, since he has power to make the whole of this palace great. The important point is that we should be absolutely resolved to give it to him for his own, and should empty it so that he may take out and put in just what he likes, as he would with something of his own. His Majesty is right in demanding this. Let us not deny it to him. And as he refuses to force our will, he takes what we give him, but does not give himself wholly until he sees that we are giving ourselves wholly to him. This is certain, and as it is of such importance, I often remind you of it. Nor does he work within the soul as he does when it is wholly his, and keeps nothing back. I do not see how he can do so, since he likes everything to be done in order. If we fill the palace with vulgar people and all kinds of junk, how can the Lord and his court occupy it? When such a crowd is there, it would be a great thing if he were to remain for even a short time. Do you suppose, daughters, that he is alone when he comes to us? Do you not see that his most holy Son says, "Who art in the heavens"? Surely such a king would not be abandoned by his courtiers. They stay with him and pray to him on our behalf and for our welfare, for they are full of charity. Do not imagine that heaven is like this earth, where if a lord or prelate shows anyone favors, whether for some particular reason or simply because he likes him, people at once become envious, and though the poor man has done nothing to them, he is maliciously treated, so that his favors cost him dear. Chapter 29 continues to describe the methods for achieving this prayer of recollection, saying what little account we should make of being favored by our superiors. For the love of God, daughters, avoid making any account of these favors. You should each do your duty, and if this is not appreciated by your superior, you may be sure that it will be appreciated and rewarded by the Lord. We did not come here to seek rewards in this life, but only in the life to come. Let our thoughts always be fixed upon what endures, and not trouble themselves with earthly things, which do not endure, even for a lifetime. For today, some other sister will be in your superior's good books, whereas tomorrow, if she sees you exhibiting some additional virtue, it is with you that she will be better pleased. And if she is not, it is of little consequence. Never give way to these thoughts, which sometimes begin in a small way, but may cost you a great deal of unrest. Check them by remembering that your kingdom is not of this world, and that everything comes quickly to an end, and there is nothing in this life that goes on unchangingly. But even that it is a poor remedy and anything but a perfect one. It is best that this state of things should continue, and that you should be humbled and out of favor, and should wish to be so for the sake of the Lord who dwells within you. Turn your eyes upon yourself and look at yourself inwardly. As I have said, you will find your master. He will not fail you. Indeed, the less outward comfort you have, the much greater the joy he will give you. He is full of compassion and never fails those who are afflicted and out of favor, if they trust in him alone. Thus David tells us that he never saw the just forsaken, and again, that the Lord is with the afflicted. Either you believe this or you do not. If you do, as you should, why do you wear yourselves to death with worry? O my Lord, if we had a real knowledge of thee, we should make not the slightest account of anything, since thou givest so much to those who will set their whole trust on thee. Believe me, friends, it is a great thing to realize the truth of this, so that we may see how deceptive are earthly things and favors, when they deflect the soul in any way from its course and hinder it from entering within itself. God help me, if only someone could make you realize this. I myself, Lord, certainly cannot. I know that in truth I owe thee more than anyone else, but I cannot realize this myself as well as I should. Returning to what I was saying, I should like to be able to explain the nature of this holy companionship with our great companion, the holiest of the holy, in which there is nothing to hinder the soul and her spouse from remaining alone together when the soul desires to enter within herself, to shut the door behind her, so as to keep out all that is worldly and to dwell in that paradise with her God. I say desires, because you must understand that this is not a supernatural state, but depends upon our volition, and that by God's favor we can enter it of our own accord. This condition must be understood of everything that we say in this book can be done. For without it, nothing can be accomplished, and we have not the power to think a single good thought. For this is not a silence of the faculties, it is a shutting up of the faculties within itself by the soul. There are many ways in which we can gradually acquire this habit. As various books tell us, we must cast aside everything else, they say, in order to approach God inwardly, and we must retire within ourselves, even during our ordinary occupations. If I can recall the companionship which I have within my soul for as much as a moment, that is of great utility. But I am speaking only about the way to recite vocal prayers well. There is no need for me to say as much as this. All I want is that we should know and abide with the person with whom we are speaking, and not turn our backs upon him. For that, it seems to me, if what we are doing when we talk to God and yet think of all kinds of vanity, the whole mischief comes from our not really grasping the fact that He is near us, and imagining Him far away, so far that we shall have to go to heaven in order to find Him. How is it, Lord, that we do not look at Thy face when it is so near to us? We do not think people are listening to us when we are speaking to them unless we see them looking at us. And do we close our eyes so as not to see that Thou art looking at us? How can we know if Thou hast heard what we say to Thee? The great thing I should like to teach you is that in order to accustom ourselves gradually to giving our minds confidence so that we may readily understand what we are saying and with whom we are speaking, we must recollect our outward senses, take charge of them ourselves, and give them something which will occupy them. It is in this way that we have heaven within ourselves, since the Lord of heaven is there. If once we accustom ourselves to being glad that there is no need to raise our voices in order to speak to Him, since His Majesty will make us conscious that He is there, we shall be able to say the Pater Noster and whatever other prayers we like with great peace of mind. And the Lord Himself will help us not to grow tired. Soon after, we have begun to force ourselves to remain near the Lord. He will give us indications by which we may understand that, though we have had to say the Pater Noster many times. He heard us the first time, for He loves to save us worry, and even though we may take a whole hour over saying it once, if we can realize that we are with Him, and what it is we are asking Him, and how willing He is, like any father, to grant it to us, and how He loves to be with us and comfort us. He has no wish for us to tire our brains by a great deal of talking. For the love of the Lord, then, sisters, accustom yourselves to saying the Pater Noster in this recollected way, and before long you will see how you gain by doing this. It is a method of prayer which establishes habits that prevent the soul from going astray and the faculties from becoming restless. This you will find out in time. I only beg you to test it, even at the cost of a little trouble, which always results when we try to form a new habit. I assure you, however, that before long you will have the great comfort of finding it unnecessary to tire yourselves with seeking this Holy Father to whom you pray, for you will discover Him within you. May the Lord teach this to those of you who do not know it. For my own part, I must confess that, until the Lord taught me this method, I never knew what it was to get satisfaction and comfort out of prayer. And it is because I have always gained such great benefits from this custom of interior recollection that I have written about it at such length. Perhaps you all know this, but some sister may come to you who will not know it. So you must not be vexed at my having spoken about it here. I conclude by advising anyone who wishes to acquire it, since, as I say, it is in our power to do so, not to grow weary of trying to get used to the method which has been described. For it is equivalent to a gradual gaining of the mastery over herself, and it is not vain labor. To conquer oneself for one's own good is to make use of the senses in the service of the interior life. If she is speaking, she must try to remember that there is one within her to whom she can speak. If she is listening, let her remember that she can listen to him who is nearer to her than anyone else. Briefly, let her realize that, if she likes, she need never withdraw from this good companionship. And let her grieve when she has left her father alone for so long, though her need of him is so sore. If she can, let her practice recollection many times daily. If not, let her do so occasionally. As she grows accustomed to it, she will feel its benefits, either sooner or later. Once the Lord has granted it to her, she would not exchange it for any treasure. Nothing, sisters, can be learned without a little trouble, so do, for the love of God, look upon any care which you take about this as well spent. I know that with God's help, if you practice it for a year, or perhaps for only 6 months, you will be successful in attaining it. Think what a short time that is for acquiring so great a benefit. For you will be laying a good foundation, so that if the Lord desires to raise you up to achieve great things, he will find you ready, because you will be close to himself. May his majesty never allow us to withdraw ourselves from his presence. Amen. This is a chapel for the soul. Subscribe to receive light keys and sacred knowledge in divine timing. New uploads weekly, audio chapters, prayer recitations, and transmissions from the inner temple.